Hey, good morning, everyone. Again, I want to welcome our good friend Keith Murphy with Essex Mortgage. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what happens when we have what's called dual agency. That is where the buyer has representation from the listing agent for their offer on the listing agent's property or listed property, that is. So we'll go into that, take a little bit of a dive on the rules and ethics of that.
And Kelly, what exactly is dual agency?
So dual agency is exactly what I was saying in the intro, which is where the listing agent has a listing and either the listing agent or another colleague from the listing agent's brokerage brings the buyer's offer on that property. So it may not be the listing agent themselves. Many times it is. A lot of buyers have a preconceived notion that they have a better likelihood of getting their offer accepted if the agent that's listed the property is also their agent. Simply not true. Our agency relationship with the seller is a fiduciary relationship, and that is the highest level of care. That's attorney-client privilege, that's parent-to-child privilege or responsibility. Our duty of care is that we are to get the seller the highest and best terms for the sale of their property. So what the seller is looking for is our first obligation, first and foremost. We have a duty of fair dealing and honesty with the buyer. That doesn't mean to say that we have the duty to disclose to them how many offers we have if it's a multiple offer situation, nor is it a duty to disclose to them the highest price so they can beat out everybody else. We're finding that happening a lot, but buyers are going to ask and we have to tell them, sorry, can't tell you.
So let me replay this back, make sure I understand. If I'm a home buyer and I contact you, the listing agent for a house that I'm interested in, and I ask you to represent me, the buyer, you can do that, but the cost to me as a buyer is that at the end of the day, your responsibility is to deliver the highest and best price, terms, strength of buyer, etc., to that seller. So you're not necessarily, it's not necessarily a fair playing field insofar as your job, as you said, your fiduciary responsibility is to look out for the seller's best interest over mine.
Yes, the seller hired me to sell their home. I have to present to the seller all offers. I have to show the seller the strengths and weaknesses of all offers. And then the seller makes a decision from that based on all of the information that I've been able to glean about each particular buyer's situation. You know, how much money they have to use for their down payment. Do they have all of the money that they say that they have that's available to them to complete the transaction as they structured it, you know, 10% down, 15% down, 20% down, whatever. And be able to say to the seller, well, you know, here's the strengths of this offer. Here's the strengths of that offer. Do you want to work with this buyer, or this buyer? And I have to be Switzerland. I have to be neutral. I have to tell them, you know, I'm not telling you, I'm not advocating for this offer over here. I'm telling you these are the strengths. Telling you the strengths of this offer are this, the strengths of that offer are that. And maybe like in one situation recently where I had 18 offers, I was able to, you know, go through and do a summary of each offer and rank them. Like I had the top 3. So I ranked them. I didn't put them 1, 2, and 3. I just said one of the top 3. Just, you know, to try to be, keep it as neutral as possible. And then I had the next, you know, the tier 2 top 3. You know, they're the 3 that were in tier 2. So I did it that way, tier 1, tier 2, and that seemed to be the most understandable for the seller to be able to process through those. because we had so many offers.
Let me talk about the elephant in the room, at least in my mind right now. If I'm a buyer, based upon what I've learned, I'm going to want my own agent to represent me, just so that there's a level playing field. Someone's looking out for my best interest, my buyer's agent, versus working with that listing agent. But in the real world of real estate, ethics aside, fiduciary responsibility aside, do you think that a buyer has a better chance of getting their offer accepted, even if it isn't the strongest or highest and best, if the listing agent thinks, hey, I'm going to get 2 commissions on this offer, I'm only going to get 1 commission on all these other offers that have their own agents? Does that put that buyer in a better position or chance of getting their offer accepted? Not with you, but in general?
To be very fair to my profession, and I really truly believe that the majority of my profession try to work ethically and responsibly, I hope and believe that all offers get presented. Are there situations that the buyer's strategy of using the listing agent also as their buying agent prevails simply because agents get what we call commission breath? Yes, it does happen. In our particular instance, where Glenn and I are a husband and wife team, generally what happens is that we have one or the other of us align with the buyer and the other aligns with the seller, so that we do have negotiations that are keeping that buyer has their person that they are aligned with, and then the seller has theirs. And so frankly, with Glenn having 33 years as an attorney and me being a banker, we were taught in our professions prior to real estate privacy laws, and you don't talk about what the client's needs are. So we don't ever give away the negotiation position, even with each other. But that said, there are a lot of agents that I work with who also give away their clients' negotiation powers. They tell me too much. And don't think I'm not going to use that to my client's best interest. I will. I mean, if you reveal it, I'm going to, use what I know. But I hope that that's not true as much as possible, but I do know that it exists. Yes, it does actually exist. The flip side of that for me personally is I want to make sure that buyers who might come to me because they think that they do stand that stronger chance, I let them know, all of what I've said right up front, that, you have to make a decision on who writes your offer for you. I will do my very best to help you structure a competitive offer, but I cannot make that decision at the end of the day. I'm not the seller, I'm the listing agent, and I have to present all of the offers, not just yours. So I don't want for buyers to think that they can manipulate me either, because I'm simply not going to cave. I'm not going to, I am not going to present their offer and not present all the rest of them. I'm not going to advocate more for them than, I'm going to present it, but on its strengths and on its weaknesses, just like I have to every other offer. It's just the way it is. That's my duty of care.
I love that. Yeah, I had a quick story for you. I had a buyer who I worked tirelessly on last summer, June, July, and they ended up buying with a builder in Menifee area. Mm-hmm. But their phase they hadn't even broken ground. And basically I got beat because they said, we've got a long list of people. We're gonna take the offers when we control the financing, and you're gonna get a better deal than any bank or lender or broker can offer. So it's a win-win. You can buy a house because you're gonna get accepted and you're gonna get better terms. So I got kicked to the curb, and that's okay. It's what's best for that client, and
Yes.
it's going to get them the house they want, and they're going to get better terms than I can deliver. Fine. But they called last night at 7:30 in a panic because they're now supposed to start signing loan docs because they're closing, and it's a VA buyer, and the banker or the builder is giving them a 30-year fixed VA rate at 3.25% with 1.5 points in origination fees, which is like $8,000 in fees at 3.25. And I said, well, let's share my screen. I did a Zoom with them and said, let's just see what I've got. And I was able to quote them 2.25% VA fixed with no origination cost. So I think that dual agency also sort of works in our mortgage world where, buyers are calling listing agents to get cross-qualified, and then that lender's doing the cross-qualification and telling the buyer, well, if you want your offer accepted, this listing agent's my #1 partner. I could tell them this is the strongest cross-qualification, but you got to do the loan with me.
Right.
Plus, I'm going to get you better terms than whoever this Keith Murphy guy is.
Right.
So I don't know. I kind of see that not as many people on the lending and real estate side are following the ethics and letter of the law, the fiduciary responsibility to do what's best for that client. It seems more often they're doing what they think is best for them, and where they're getting some extra coin. And
yes.
And
especially in the case of builders, they'll have, we'll give you a $10,000 incentive, a $10,000 credit toward your closing costs if you use our lender. And then they'll eat up all of those fees with points and charges that you wouldn't have if they worked with another more competitive lender.
And that's exactly what the loan estimate showed. They were getting a $10,000 builder closing cost credit, which is why they went with that builder in addition to wanting to buy the house. They basically had to use that lender. But yeah, there's $10,000 in builder credits towards closing costs.
Just got chomped up.
$9,000 in origination fees. I'm like, they basically did a hat trick on them.
And they're paying a higher interest rate.
Then we're going to take the $10 back on the other side.
Yes.
There's no benefit to the buyer.
Keith, once again, I want to thank you so much for your professionalism and your willingness to share, and have a great day. I know you've got a busy one ahead of you, and we will both go forth and be productive.